Oh. Oh. So Jesus and Moses were playing golf, and they come up on quite a big body of water. And Moses asked Jesus what, club he's going to use. And he said, well, Arnold Palmer says to use the 5-iron. And Moses said, a 5-iron? I don't think you're going to do it. That's a big body of water. And Jesus said, well, Arnold Palmer says that you can. And so Jesus, he positions himself, and he looks at the body of water, pulls, swings. Ball goes right in the water. Well, Moses doing what Moses does, parts the water and goes and gets the ball. He comes back to Jesus and says, well, that didn't work. What are you going to do now? Jesus said, well, I'm going to do what Arnold Palmer said. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to use the 5-iron. Moses said, really? Okay. So here he goes, positions himself right in the water. So Jesus doing what Jesus does. He started walking across the water to get his ball. Well, by this time a crowd had gathered, and they said, who does he think he is, Jesus Christ? And Moses yells back, no, he thinks he's Arnold Palmer. Not a new story for me, and for some of you, I've certainly told it before. But a story around the time of my birthday every year that is very important to me to reassess and revisit and to look at where I am in my own life with my own authenticity and the principles that I am bound by and committed to. When I was coming up, I sat many a week crying, seated in a Southern Baptist community, knowing that did not ring true for me. It's okay that it was working for everyone else, but it didn't work for me. The message, the separation, the energy, the being wretched and being a victim and all that. And I was so finding comfort through the teachings about Jesus, because he was my number one man, my love, my connection, because I loved the idea and the ideal that he was original, and that regardless of who he was around, he didn't become them. He gave them the opportunity to discover how to work with laws and principles, and that they could have that same kind of comfort in being connected to God, the Father, as he did. And that's such a powerful message, is that Jesus never made the adjustment to who people or experiences or challenges were. He invited them to step into a new place for themselves. Do you resonate with that? Never once does it say in Scripture that somebody sought his help and he went, oh, now's not a good time. Oh, all the things I'm going through, I can't even believe you've asked me to be of support for you today. He never once said, I don't have it in me, or I don't know how. He lived from this essence and this energy that his life was a ministry. And so therefore, everything that presented itself personally and professionally, if you will, on his path, he said, here I am. Here I am. And in Unity, we do not teach sin in a traditional sense. We use the original meaning of sin, meaning you miss the mark. We miss the mark in our lives when we know better and we don't do better. We miss the mark in our lives when we have been influenced by someone or something else, and we're not really stepping into our most authentic nature. Do you agree with that? It's that kind of experience and that kind of connection. I was at Unity of Houston this past week And they were telling me before I started to speak at the 9 o'clock, to just kind of be with them because they were, really quiet and laid back and, and all that. And I thought to myself, don't make any adjustment. Don't adjust to anything that's being told. Don't adjust to any expectation anyone else has. Just allow the Spirit of life to flow through you. Well, they were fascinated because they had never had their 9 o'clock be so energized by God. Energized by God, not Temple Hayes. I was the catalyst from that possibility flowing. And that was the premise of what Jesus taught, is to allow ourselves to be the catalyst in which Spirit can flow. We do a disservice to people when we tone down at the time that they need us. We do a disservice to people when someone calls and they're having a really hard and challenging time, because people do. And we have just heard some of the best news of our lives, and they go, tell me about you. Oh, that's okay. I'll wait and tell you some other time. We do a disservice. We tone down greatness or new things or new possibilities or healings rather than have the people step into the energy field which we exist and hold. That is what our New Thought leaders did. That's what Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore and all the other, Mary Baker Eddy, is they held a space with great authority. With great authority. They held a space for people that all would be well. They held this energy field that's talking about touching the hem of the garment, that a person could feel challenged in any way, and therefore that energy would shift because the person continued to express who they were. Does that resonate with you? While I was at Houston, I had the opportunity to visit Stephen Krugler. And it was so great to be with him. And as I was walking through his home, I was so touched when I saw what he had hung on his wall. We have a slide for that. That was hanging on his wall. It was so special to him that he hung it up. And I'd like you to affirm it with me, because that's what we're talking about today. Together, I have unshakable faith in the perfect outworking of every situation in my life. For God is in absolute control, and all things are working together for my highest good. All things working together for my highest good. Stay with me. Stay with me. This is what we call real life practice. Okay, stay with me. There you go. And all will be well. Yes? And so I'm reminded of a story of a woman that was approached by a man that was hungry. He didn't have any money. And when the man came up to her, she started looking through her purse to find him some money to give him so he could eat. And the man noticed a stone. He noticed this stone that this woman had, and it was of immense value. And so he looked at her, and his eyes got real big, and he said, I want that. I want that. So she gave it to him. And as he walked away, he realized that the stone that she had gifted him would keep him in food for many, many months to come. It had tremendous value. And in a few days, she was really surprised to see that he was bringing it back to her. And she said, what are you doing? He said, well, I really appreciate the gift that you gave me of this precious stone. He said, but what I would rather have is, what do you have inside you that allowed you to give me that stone in the first place? What do you have inside of you to give that stone in the first place? I love that so many of you are practicing the principles of unity. I love that you're out in the community wherever you are or traveling across the globe, and you are exemplifying the principles, because sharing the message of unity is so easy, isn't it? It's so easy, isn't it? Why? It's so easy. We are spiritual. We are spiritual people rather than religiosity. We believe in one God, in one presence, one power. We believe in what is possible for anyone. We believe that though we face life challenges in life as a human being, that we believe we are bound by prayer and by principles that all things can change for the better. Actually, we believe that there is no such thing as a problem without a solution that's already attached right to it. And through that discovery of that inner stone, we come to the awareness of who we are. That's as easy as it is to share unity. While you're smiling real big and everybody can tell that your life is exemplifying greatness, yes? Yes. Because you think about it, when you invite somebody to a restaurant, and you just say what? When you invite somebody to a restaurant, what do you say? It's great. It's good. You'll love it. Do you tell them what kind of pans the chef uses? Do you talk about the chef and where he went to college? No. What do you say? It's great. So that is the way that we share the message of what we believe is the very nature that we hold that space. I love working in the yard. And I just recommitted to my yard again yesterday. We had like a little ceremony. I now recommit to you. Because it really gives me energy and a vivaciousness. Andrew Lloyd Wright, when somebody asked him, who is God? He said, Nature. That's who God is. But when you're out in your yard or on the grounds of your condominium, you can clearly see how nature works. And I was spellbound as I was seeing this bamboo that has been on our property for about a year, and over the last several weeks, it has not grown at all, while before it was just growing quite rapidly. And with all the rain that we've had, enough to call in Noah, you know that it could have grown quite rapidly. But what was happening is all these palm leaves were hovering over it and was in its way. And so when I blessed the palm tree and I clipped some of its leaves that was blocking the bamboo, I went out there, several hours later, and the bamboo was like, yes, yes, I have been freed. I'm freed up from this stuff hovering over me. And that's what it's like on this spiritual path, is that we free ourselves from things hovering over us. Ideas, limitations, what we've believed, what's kept us from moving forward to being a healer, from being a spokesperson of truth, whatever it is. It's that energy field, yes? It's that just that incredible connection to God. In Scripture, Jesus said that if you do not understand this parable, then you won't understand any of the others. He says, the sower sows the word. These are the ones on the path where the word is sown and takes away the word that is sown in them. And these are the ones sown on the rocky ground. When they hear the word, they immediately receive it with joy, but they have no root. They have not practiced the word. They have not used the word. They have not worked with it enough to become grounded in what they believe. It's imperative that we continue to line ourselves up, meditate, pray, so we will develop the root of consciousness that no matter what we face or see someone else face, we're able to hold that space of a higher knowing. Yes? The way people are healed in the midst of us is because we're holding a much different reality for them than the one they have. And that's the reason that we've been called into their lives at that moment in the first place. So Scripture tells us, use the word, pray, connect, state, see the truth, so you may be grounded in that reality. I love the story of the woman. It reminds me of being at a funeral yesterday and hearing some stories as we honored Linda Lyday's father. But in that space, it's a story of a woman that she's 92 and her husband, has just died. And so she's decided to go to this small condominium to live and to downsize. And so as she's going to this new place, her assistant is telling her, oh, what a wonderful experience it's going to be. And she said, wait till you see it. Wait till you see this place. And the woman looks at this gal and says, I don't need to see it, because I've already made a decision that I'm going to be happy there. And it doesn't really matter how the furniture is in place. It doesn't really matter what the room looks like. I've made a decision within myself that it's going to be an oh happy day. I've made a decision within myself that I am going to welcome it because it's on my path, and I'm going to give it all that I have. She said, I'm going to use the principles like I've always used them when I awake in the morning. I'm not going to focus on my body parts that are no longer working. I'm going to focus on the parts that are working in God's grace. I'm going to stand grounded in a place no matter what, and I am going to hold that level of energy. Whatever it is that I'm facing, she said, I'm going to hold that oh happy day. Oh happy day. That we are so blessed to hold the space and continue to be energized and invigorated by the great Spirit within. Thank you for being here with us at First Unity, and thank you for being here today on your journey. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.